Hello Year 7, and we've got a starter today. I'm going to look back to what we did last week. So I want to know, what are the three ingredients of a variable? So what are the three parts of a variable? And then once you've done that, I'd like you to make a variable. Just write one out. So what are the three ingredients, and then use the three ingredients to make a variable. Okay, you haven't got to do it on Sculpt, you can just write it out. Okay, I'll pause the video and then we will continue in a moment. So the three parts of a variable are, the first part is the name. And remember, the name can't have any spaces in it, and it can't be a reserved word like print. The second part is the assignment operator, so the equal sign, the single equal sign that is called an assignment operator. And then the third part is the value. So to make a variable, you needed a name, an assignment operator, and a value. And hopefully you've done that. Okay. So over the last few weeks, we have learnt about print functions. So we printed things like our names or hello, and variables, like we've just talked about. So today we're going to use both of these together in one single Python program. We're going to make a program that makes two variables and then adds them together and then prints the result. So like a really simple calculator in a way. Using a jotter, what I want you to do now is I want you to think of the steps this program will take to achieve this. So almost write a set of instructions as to what you think the computer will have to do step by step on how to do this. Okay, we'll pause the video now so you've got a minute to do that. Okay, hopefully you've done that by now. We're going to move on and look at how that should have been done. So this is obviously quite detailed, and I've had a lot of time to think about this. So don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like this, but try and look at the differences. Give yourself a bit of feedback. Yep, I got that right, or I could have developed that a bit more. Okay, think of this as a bit of a waggle. So your first step is make the first variable. So your first line of code will probably make the first variable. Now, because we're going to be adding them together, we're going to give it a numeric value. We're going to give it an integer value. Okay, we're going to give it a number. The second line is going to be making the second variable. And again, we're going to give it a numeric value. It's going to be an integer. On the third line, we're going to make a variable that adds variable 1 and variable 2. So the variables we made on lines 1 and 2 are going to be added together on line 3. And then line 4, we're going to print that third variable that has added them together. So you can almost look at it as this flowchart. So instead of having it as a list, we could look at it as a flowchart. We start at the top, then we make variable 1, we make variable 2, we make variable 3, which is adding variable 1 and variable 2 together, and then we print variable 3, and that's the end of our program. Now you'll notice there are some shapes I've used here on my flowchart, and there's a reason they're in the certain places. So the oval is at the start and end of our program. The rectangle is a process that's carried out by the computer, and this parallelogram is an input or output. So in this case, it's printing the message on the screen. The arrows show which direction we're going. So it starts here and the information flows this way. Okay, let's have a look now at an example. So I'll do one with you on Sculpt. And what I'm aiming to do is make two variables with numeric values, make a third variable which adds the first two variables together, print that variable, and then write the program which allows the user to input the value of 1 and 2 as the challenge. So you might want to go away and look at how to add inputs in Python if you're going to have a go at the challenge. What I'm going to show you now is bronze, silver, and gold. Okay, so let's get Sculpt on our screen. Remember guys, if Sculpt doesn't work for you, then there is an alternative out there that I've given you before. You can use that one again. Okay, so when you load Sculpt up, of course, it's going to have the code that was in there already. You can just highlight that and delete it. It can go. So we've got our brand new. So let's make our first variable. So you try and give your variables sensible names. So I could call this number 1, or because programmers are really lazy and we like to abbreviate stuff, I could call it num1. It is up to you. I'm going to go with num1 because I like my variable names nice and short, because then I can't mistype them so easily. So num1 is its name, assignment operator, and I'm going to give it a numeric value. So let's give it the value 3. Okay, now I've got num1, so I'm going to call this one num2. It's just short for number, remember, but you can have any name you like. And again, I'm going to add a number. It's going to be 4. So I've got name, assignment operator, value. Now, here comes the slight difference. We're going to make a third variable, which I'm going to call total, because this isn't just another number. This is the total of my 2 variables. You could call it add, I suppose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write num2, so num1, exactly the name of my first variable, plus num2. So it looks a lot like a maths equation. I'm just adding the names of the variables, but remember, Python's going to go away and look for the values. So it's going to substitute num1 for 3, and it's going to substitute num2 for 4. So when the computer does it, it will say total equals 3 plus 4. Okay, and then let's try printing that total. Okay, let's run it. Perfect, I get 7. Okay, so that is how you do bronze, silver and gold. It's as easy as that. Try and make it slightly different for yours, so you might have different variable names, for example. You could try playing around with different variable names. Maybe you could have more than 2 variables being added together. Perhaps you might want to try a different operation instead of adding. Okay, but whatever you get up to, print screen it and put it in a document and send it to me through the VLE. That would be fantastic. So just to recap on our success criteria, make 2 variables is bronze. Make a third variable that adds the value, and then the goal is to print that third variable. Challenge, if you accept it, is to go and research how do I add an input into Python and allow them to choose their own value for the variables. Okay, you can see there's a bit of a guide here as well. And you know the words I've used today, you've got Python, which is obviously our programming language, data, so the data is things like the values of our variables, structure, so the structure of our program, line 1, line 2, line 3, variable, so a variable is a way of storing some information in a program, and the value is what that variable is worth. Best of luck guys, and I'll see you soon.